Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker, and today I am sharing a video that I am teaching with the My Scrappy Life virtual crop for February 2023, and our theme is Galentines. This is the inspiration photo that we've been given. So I've pulled out some cardstock with White Daisy, Harbor, Peacock, Candy Apple, some papers from Celebrating You, and it's the little things. And I'm doing the Pinterest layout challenge, so I have a few different Pinterest things that I've looked at, and I'm showing you some of them. I really like the different triangles and different layouts that they have here, and I really liked one that even had like something folded over, so I'm going to incorporate that into my design as well. But this one is my main inspiration. So I have a couple pictures from my sister and I taking a chocolate walk for her birthday. I thought that fit perfectly with the whole Galentines theme. And so I'm going to cut several of these papers. I think I want my biggest triangle to be out of the Celebrating You, and I'm going to trim it down to 11 by 11, and then I'm going to cut it in half diagonally, which was a little challenge because, as you can see, it doesn't exactly fit on the cutter. Then I decided I'm going to take this Peacock cardstock and also cut it down to 11 by 11. I think I'm going to use this one to fold over, and I need to cut it diagonally as well. So I took my two 11 by 11 inch papers and I put them down on my Versamat, and I took a straight edge. My old stitching ruler was actually longer than our current T ruler, and I used that to cut with an X-Acto knife, and then I just used my micro tip scissors to finish cutting it what didn't go all the way through. Then I just did it with this Celebrating You paper. It is a very small print that has like almost a check print all the way through it, but it's very light. So I repeated the same process to split this one in half diagonally. And then this piece is going to be the one that I'm going to do my stitching on. So I bring in my T ruler, and you can see there's those stitching pieces on one end, and there's a lot of them that came on that old stitching guide as well. But I really like the foam that we got with the old stitching guide. And so I'm going to use that underneath my T ruler, and then I have a kind of a pokey tool that I'm going to use, and I'm going to line this up very carefully, and I used the wider stitch holes to go through and poke, and I did this about a 1/4 inch from the edge all the way around all the sides of both of these large triangles. Then the next thing I did was I had some Mink Embellishing Thread, and I pulled apart the layers so I just had one strand at a time. I used washi tape to secure it to the back of my paper, and I did what I think is called a back stitch. I am no seamstress, so don't ask me. And now I'm actually coming into frame. But basically I went through and then came back again, making sure that there were stitch marks between all of the holes. So is that a back stitch? I think it is. And you can see it. I did make some progress, but this is taking absolutely forever. I am not quick at stitching this. The next thing I did was take that Peacock cardstock that was split in half, and since it was an 11 inch by 11 inch square, each side half would be about 5.5 inches. So I marked where 5.5 inches would be on the two short sides, and then I just made a score mark and folded it back so that the light side will fold back over the dark part. And now that tiny triangle, I'm going to put marks for my stitching. And I'm going to do a different type of stitching on all of these other ones than I did for those large triangles, simply to save myself some time. But I'm going to go through, and the same process, I'm going to poke my holes around these small triangles. And here's a little peek at what that looks like. Next, I'm going to go through and I split my tiny pieces of paper that are from It's the Little Things, and I'm going to use those on the small triangles that are left on the sides after I fold back that lighter part of the Peacock's cardstock. And I'm going to repeat the same process, poking holes around all of these squares as well. Triangles, sorry, around these triangles. I do know my shapes. And my other two pieces of 6x6 cardstock, I'm going to cut these down to 4.5 by 4.5. I think the other triangles that I did, their squares were 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I'm cutting these down, and then after I cut them down and split them diagonally, I cut them each in half again. So I'm getting 4 triangles out of the 4.5 by 4.5 squares. I got 2 larger triangles out of the 4 3/4 inch squares. And this will make my little triangles that I'm going to use in the corners. You'll see as it comes together. So I make sure that my hearts are facing the right way as I'm putting these pieces down, and then I'm struggling with figuring out which way to face my triangles. It just takes me a minute when I mess with triangles. I don't know why, but I eventually figure it out, and I figure out which heart pattern I need so that it goes the right direction. And voila, I think I actually got it. And then I have to do the same thing for the opposite corner on the facing page as well. So my large paper with the Celebrating You print has stitching around, like real stitching with thread around the edges. And I'm going to go ahead and commit to this and stick this down about 1/2 inch from the edges of my paper. And I used my T-ruler. It's a bit off, so you can't, it's off screen, so you don't see it. But I used my T-ruler to get it on there real nice and straight. And then I'm bringing in the other page to do the same. And for this one, it's going to be at the top of the page instead of the bottom. But those two prints will meet up in the middle that have the stitching. So I used my T-ruler again, 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the left side. And this kept it nice and straight. And I really like how that looks. And now I'm testing the Peacock. It will butt up against it once I put it all together. So I always love the way the stitching looks, but let's be honest, it takes too long for me and I am just not that patient. So I'm going to do some faux stitching on all these other triangles, and I have those stitching holes, and I tried just drawing a line. This one is with a 0.05 white gel pen, and I drew those down, and you know what? I really don't like doing it with a straight edge. It just didn't look organic and real enough. And so I played with a few different things over the next few triangles. And what I really like is not even a straight line down, is just some small lines between the stitch holes. I did use foam tape on this part that's folded over to give it a little dimension, and it makes it even more obvious that it's a folded piece of cardstock. I really like how that looked, so I used the foam tape on the folded part of the triangle. And then I stuck this down right up against the Celebrating You paper that had the real stitching on it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is come in with the jelly roller that's 0.10, and it's a little bit wider, and I'm using that all around the little triangles that are on it's the Little Things papers. And this is when I figure out just to do really short lines between the stitching marks. It made it more obvious that it was faux stitching, and I like that a whole lot better. So I have two different pictures that I'm working with. I printed them on my selfie printer, so I need to cut off the edges, and they were not exactly 4x6, but I kind of took the size and just did an extra 1/4 inch, and I cut my candy apple cardstock and made mats, and then I cut my Harbor cardstock another 1/4 inch bigger on each side to make a second mat. So as you're watching me mat up these photos, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you have not already done that, and turn on the notifications so that you will know every time I upload a crafty video. So I have two pictures here. On the top right, that one is myself peeking in from the corner and my sister. And this was a chocolate walk in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And it supported the Equestrian Association or group that is in that Auglaize County. And so we are with one of the girls and her little pony. And then the other photo was of some of our haul of candy and different baked goods and popcorns and things that had chocolate on them. So you notice that I have that little chocolate box and all these chocolates. These were extras that I had stamped and embossed and used my thin cuts on for a previous card, and I just made lots knowing that I'd make this layout. And so all of the items that I used are listed in the description below. And then I also had cut out this heart. It was from the Four Seasons summer paper pack, I believe. And I just thought it was adorable, and it was an extra one that I had left over from my Valentine's cards. So I have my cluster in my box of chocolates on the bottom right on that folded over part. And then at the top left, I have the heart with some of my chocolates around it as well. And later on, I will add a few more chocolates down by that picture of my haul that I brought home from chocolates. And I just put them in a basket by my little coffee bar at home, and we had some each day with our coffees and teas and things like that. So it was kind of fun. So this was actually my sister's birthday that we went, and we met. It was probably about a half hour from her and a little over an hour for me. But I thought that since our theme for this virtual crop is Galentines, that I would put on there happy Galentine's Day. I just thought it went perfect with our little chocolate walk that we were doing. Now that picture of both of us with the girl from the equestrian group and her pony, I did pop that up with some foam squares just to really emphasize that picture a little more. And then here you'll see I'm filling that little box of chocolates, and I just love this one because that box has a slit in it so you can put the chocolates down in there. And I had a couple chocolates that were not even whole pieces because I made mistakes or didn't have room to cut. And I just layered other chocolates over it, and you can't even tell. So make sure you don't tell my secrets. And I didn't push everything down too well until I had everything in there just the way that I wanted it. And I made sure that like the last piece of chocolate that I put in was going to be popped up with one of those foam squares as well. And that one little piece stuck out from the box since there's a slit. I just chopped off the extra little bit that was there. So I hope you are enjoying our virtual crop, and Thanks, Miranda, for including me to be a presenter. You obviously know now that I like layouts that have triangles on them, even if I struggle with them a bit. But I really liked these layouts that I found on Pinterest, and I like to do 2 pages for my layouts so that they go together. I rarely do scrapbook pages that just have one picture on them. If I do, they usually have flip-flaps, so this one is an unusual one for me. Okay, so I'm coming in with my intense black ink, and I have the stamps from the stamp set, A Piece of My Heart. It was a constant campaign a couple years ago, and I stamped that in intense black ink, and then I used my candy apple ink just to stamp some little hearts that were from that stamp set all around the 2 pages. I thought it was absolutely perfect. It looks very Valentine's. It was in February. It was a cold winter day. It wasn't too bad walking downtown, but a couple of the shops were just a little bit off the main drag, and it certainly was cold and windy when we had to go to those. We did get to visit one of our favorite chocolate shops that's called Winans that's downtown, and it's a chocolate shop and a coffee shop, so it's some of our favorite things. So we stopped in there, and we had a nice little lunch. We got to go shopping at some of my favorite stores, and I used the white foam stickers for the alphabet stickers to put Chocolate Walk up on that left-hand page. I hope you will give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a sweet comment, and maybe even share this with a crafty friend. Thanks, and have a great day.